ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with a joint press conference of Prime Minister Jüri Ratase and Senator John McCaini. First, a short statement by Prime Minister Ratase, please.
Thank you, Mr. Senator McCaini, your honorable senators, your delegation, honorable journalists. We just had the meeting with 3 senators and also Senator Mr. McCaini and his delegation. I said that this support, what NATO gives to Estonia, it is very important for our state, not only for our state but also for our people. I see that the very strong majority of Estonians who support that NATO is here, and we support that we are also very initiative member in NATO. I just had about 1 hour and a half ago one small interview with small Estonian radio station, and the second question what the journalist asked was, what about the relationship between NATO and Estonia? It just shows how important it is. I was more than 10 days ago, it was my first European Council meeting, and I am feeling today that it's very important that today we are also very strongly believe the negotiations and cooperations between European Union and NATO another level. Once more, Mr. McCaini, thank you that you are today here. Your delegation is here in Estonia. For us, it's very important support. I also said that we keep our defense finance 2% of GDP plus host nation support, and we also support and invest special investment program for our defense policy. Thank you.
Senator McCaini, please.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, and I congratulate you and the new government on their success, and we look forward to continuing the long and close relationship that exists between our 2 countries and also as fellow members of NATO. I congratulate you on your continued commitment to maintain the 2% engagement and commitment to NATO. By the way, I am joined by Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina and Senator Klobuchar of Minnesota as part of our delegation. I congratulate you on maintaining the 2% level commitment to NATO. I thank you for the warm reception of our American troops who are here and training with the Estonian military. I thank you for your continued commitment to NATO, and I particularly thank you for the service and sacrifice of your brave young Estonians in Afghanistan, many of whom have made the ultimate sacrifice. One of the issues that we discussed, of course, was the recent elections. They came as a surprise to most of us, the election of President-elect Trump. But I am convinced and certain that our relationship and the American relationship with NATO will remain the same. Of course, we will urge other NATO partners to reach the 2% threshold. We may be having to adjust to different aspects of Russian behavior, which has become more and more aggressive in the region. But I am confident that the United States government and people will maintain their commitment to a strong NATO, the most successful alliance in recent history. We also talked about the issue of cybersecurity and the different aspects of the challenge, including the allegations of Russian involvement in the United States election. There's an investigation that's taking place conducted by President Obama and his administration. We in the United States Senate and Congress will be holding hearings and investigating this entire issue. There's no doubt that the Russians were hacking. But there is doubt whether it had any effect on the outcome of the election. There is no evidence right now that indeed the Russian cyber attacks had, and leaking of information had any tangible effect on the outcome of the American election. So my colleagues and I come again to thank one of our staunchest and best allies, our friends who for many years suffered under the Russian and communist domination, and is now one of the great success stories. So I congratulate the Prime Minister and the new administration and look forward to working together as we meet the challenges of a very dangerous world. I thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you. And now we have time for a couple of questions. So please state your name and your publication.
Kaarel Kressa from Eesti Päevaleht Daily in Tallinn. Right now it's pretty clear that the next president will try to have a stronger partnership with Russia. And he probably will want to eliminate the sanctions related to Ukraine. In that case, if that happens, do you think that Congress would try to re-establish these sanctions in spite of President's policy? Thank you.
Well, first of all, it's not clear that the President-elect will seek the removal of those sanctions. That is certainly not the case today as I know it. I also believe that Vladimir Putin, as long as he continues to occupy Crimea and has invaded eastern Ukraine and continues to threaten other nations in the region, I believe that whoever is president, that we will have a strong and significant response. I think the presence of United States troops here in Estonia is a signal that we believe in what Ronald Reagan believed, and that is peace through strength. And the best way to prevent Russian misbehavior is by having a credible, strong military and a strong NATO alliance, of which Estonia is a very important part.
David Mardiste from Reuters. I have a question for both the Prime Minister and the Senator. What do the Baltics have to fear from any changes to American foreign policy?
Let me begin. I don't think that they have anything to fear. I believe that when Estonia gained their independence and freedom from the Soviet Union, from the then Soviet Union, that our relationship and their relationship with NATO was established. And I believe that the NATO alliance has been one of the great successes in modern history. And I don't believe that that relationship should or will change. I believe that Russian behavior, as I just mentioned, their blatant cyber attacks, call for closer cooperation between the United States, our NATO allies, and Estonia.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. I just want to add maybe 4 points that our people here in Estonia, we know very well what means to live under occupation. We don't want this situation not more. We all our people and state, we want to live independent Estonian state. It means that negotiations between and relationship between Estonia and the United States, and also Estonia and NATO, for us, it's very important. The best fact, what it shows, that our population here in Estonia support NATO membership very strongly. It's very high. And maybe one thing more, that I'm feeling today that NATO and European Union is doing more and more this kind of close cooperation together, and we both understand how important these things today is worldwide. Thank you.
Could I just add, one of the messages that my colleagues and I, in a bipartisan delegation, will bring back to the United States is that we should have a permanent, although rotational, but permanent American presence here to train and work with the Estonian military. Oh.
No. One more question, quickly. Do we have time? One more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Andrei Frolov, Baltic News Service. My question is directed at you, Mr. Senator. What is your, as far as I understand, your visit here centers on security and cooperation. What is your message to the Baltic states on these two issues, and what do you intend to do in your capacity as a US Senator to make sure that this message becomes and stays a reality? Thank you.
Our message, both Republican and Democrat, is that we will maintain our NATO commitments, we will maintain an American presence and cooperation and training. And we will appreciate, for example, brave young Estonians who are with us in Afghanistan as we speak. Estonia was not attacked on 9/11. The United States of America was attacked on 9/11, and it was Estonia and other countries, our NATO allies, that joined us to go all the way to Afghanistan to respond to an attack on the United States of America. So my message is that at this time, when we see things like the cyber attacks that are being conducted by Russia, China, and other countries, when we see the continued aggression in Crimea in eastern Ukraine, when we see continued threats that are made to Georgia, our relationship is more important than perhaps it's been in a long, long time.
Thank you very much. We'll finish the press conference.